Do these operational excellence concepts also work in the service sector? Well, yes, but there's a couple of buts. Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel where we make operational excellence practical. And not too long ago I got a direct question from one of the subscribers. I like your question, so if you have asked a question or not, doesn't matter. Ask a question, put it in the comments below, find me on LinkedIn, send me a direct email, whatever. But I got this question, Tom, do you also have videos on how to use the continuous improvement and OPEX stuff in the service sector, and how applicable is it? Well, my videos are on, they are on operational excellence in general, but pretty industry linked. That's because most of my experience is from basically manufacturing type of industry. About 80% of my clients are industry, but indeed, that's not 100%. I do also work with service providing firms like banks and municipalities even. Yeah, definitely, and an insurance came by. But also, let's not forget that most companies, basically all sort of larger manufacturing organizations as well, have service parts. You have your internal processes, your business processes. They are much more like the service sector than like manufacturing processes. And also, call centers and banks, they tend to have quite a large operational part as well, where you have repetitive processes that are done by a large group of people that should be standardized and done in sort of the same way. But having said that, there are definitely differences in the application. My first experience really is more in TPM Six Sigma. Lean came a little bit later. I do enjoy it. And you will see that the different philosophies, they link up more or less to the actual manufacturing process. So if you go into Toyota production system, that really is based on car manufacturing. Does it work in most other manufacturers? Yeah. Does it work in service sectors? Yeah, sometimes. It depends a little bit. Hospitals, for instance, are a great example as well. Sorry to all the nurses and doctors out there, but hospitals basically are people factories, right? You get broken people in, you do all kinds of operations to them, and you send fixed people out. The amount of physical material moving around, and also the main product, the patient, moving around physically in your building towards different work cells or operating theaters, that really resembles a lot of manufacturing. And a great deal of service sector is in there as well. They are both super important, which makes hospitals a great place to do operational excellence and continuous improvement. But if you go to a bank, what you see is that, yes, there is definitely an operations part, but the tasks done there, the processes, they are very much data and communication driven. So when we are thinking about really stabilizing it, that doesn't really work that well. Standardizing it so that it's easier to learn, to teach to other people, to learn when you're just getting into that role, absolutely useful. Making sure that stuff keeps moving and that the process of a client request or a mortgage application or whatever keeps moving and your customers get their answers in a timely manner, absolutely. And this is why the different sort of streams within operational excellence, within continuous improvement, they have different applications. See, Lean is all about creating flow. So in the end, right, all of these programs, they all work on that basic quality concept of plan, do, check, act. We have standards of how our processes should run, what we should expect from the process. We make sure that the machines are in order, the materials are available. We know what to do, and the people are capable of doing that. So we have the 4 M's in place to do the process. We check what comes out. Where do we see strange things happening? Where do we see opportunities to improve maybe after we fix all the strange things? And then we act on the strange thing, right? We act on deviation, the improvement opportunities, so that in the next cycle the plan is a bit changed. We have slightly improved, optimized input parameters, input settings, maybe better trained people, go into the do, check, act again. And in Lean, this is all geared towards let's make sure that the product flows through the process as quickly as possible without any sort of hiccups. It's even sort of okay if it continuously flows slowly. Lean tends to like that more than quick and then waiting in a pile, and then quick process waiting in a pile. Right? It would rather have everything nicely balanced on stack, but the main thing is any product, including a service product, like a mortgage product, a set of photos being made, what else? Nice service things can we have? A barber cutting your hair. That, by the way, because it's so physical again, it will also benefit more from the more operational excellence type of programs. But that product, or that service product, it has to move through the process without any hiccups. Now, what does that mean? Well, we need to make sure that we've got the staff, the machines, basically the workplace, right? And the materials and the people, that all needs to be there. It all needs to go. And we need balancing. So we need good input control, we need balancing, we need stability, and by that we create flow. This works great in the service sector. Almost any lean tool you can think of that is being used in manufacturing also has an analog in the service sector. Many of them just one-on-one, but if you think about a Kanban that is used to sort of organize the flow of materials or the little helper ingredients or helper materials. If you do that on a service thing, well, then it's usually specific forms, or it is how much can a certain department handle. If it's in project management, you'll see how the Kanbans are sort of used to organize how much work each of the departments or each of the subunits can handle. So it really is the same concept, just applied on maybe not a physical product, but a different type of product. Then TPM, well, first off, TPM is total productive maintenance. That maintenance part is not just a machine. This is all about making sure you have everything that you need, making sure that you really know which machines, people, settings, materials, everything that you need. The 4Ms are key here. These 4Ms. So what do you need to know? Well, you need know-how, process control, that type of stuff is just wow for TPM. This requires a lot of analysis. Well, I know Lean also has analyses, right? So VSMs, but the thing here is the whole TPM idea. The goal of TPM almost is to get the standardization. Lean uses standardization as one of the big inputs to achieve its goal. Six Sigma. Well, Six Sigma, it goes for something else. It eliminates variation and defects. Right? It does a lot, but this is the main goal for Six Sigma. It's even in the name, right? Six Sigma is only 3.4 defects per million products made. So it's all about making sure that I have very stable processes with stable output and that I don't make any defects because I've got a very stable, predictable output coming out of my process. So how do we do this? Well, a lot of, again, hey, the 4Ms. We need good machines that are in a good state. We need good methods, the correct material. All of the inputs should be good. And then we need to have processes that are highly capable. Well, at least capable enough for what we need, right? So highly capable is always linked to the specifications that we set for it. Sometimes old equipment or even equipment with a pretty high variation still works in a Six Sigma environment, because some of the tolerances are very wide then it's not such a problem. But often this is used for pretty narrow tolerances as well, and then have very high process capabilities, even on processes or outcomes for products with a low tolerance range. So if we look at this, we basically already see what is and is not going to work. See, in the service sector, flow, critical, right? That's why you see lean really work well for service sector. Six Sigma, however, I don't really see it working that well in the service sector, because this whole concept of reducing variation and defects, I don't know. Well, defects as in, let's not tick off our customer because we've got a good service that does not give us any problems, right? We get high quality service, so we don't get complaints. That definitely, yes. And that is the premise of Lean Six Sigma, which you see a lot in the service sector, right? Lean Six Sigma is very popular. TPM I hardly ever see in the service sector. Although, if we look at this, what is really happening, TPM is a sort of an input part into these big philosophies. Lean relies heavily on good control of your processes. Six Sigma relies even more on good control of your processes. So that's why in the background some TPM style programs might very well be running. But if you are really serious about running TPM, it's a bit more than just knowing your standards, right? So TPM tends to be a bit heavier program to really implement in the correct TPM way. It will give you good benefits as well, don't worry, but that's why you don't see it that often. But this focus, I don't see it so much in the service sector, and that is because especially the machines and materials coming in, is that really what makes the biggest impact when providing the service? In a hospital, yes. But in a bank, yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. So quite often when I train or work with service sector clients, then it's more like, how do we sort of divide things into the 4Ms? Well, if you are more into marketing, you've got the 8Ps, right? That's also a way to look at it. Leadership styles, they also have a way of inputting. We need a whole bunch of factors. That's the important thinking. All of the factors should be good, should be controlled. But in that operational part of the service sector, and that is important, so in the operational part of industry, just like in the operational part of the service sector, it is about repetitive processes where people need to be trained in specific methods, and they need to have the tools available. That's machine. Materials, it depends a little bit, right? If you really do just mortgage applications, the form or the piece of paper or the data coming in, considering it as material, well, okay, you can, but it doesn't really help you. So, but the thing that really doesn't work in service sector generally is to set up a pillar-like structure that is divided in productivity of mostly your machinery, your processes, a quality pillar that really looks into the stability of your processes, the usage of your material efficiencies, your yields, and your defect rates all combined. Oh, that doesn't fit. Then we've got a plant maintenance unit. Like, yeah, plant maintenance at a bank. It's there, absolutely. Your software systems need it as well, but so that's why the TPM style that tends to not work in most service sector companies. The 4Ms, critical, right? Six Sigma, with its focus on process variation, or actually product variation and defects coming out, also doesn't tend to work that well. The combo, Lean Six Sigma, takes from the Six Sigma philosophy only that part of really defining what is a defect, measuring what is that defect, how often do we have them, where do they come from. That part is super useful. What we also see is that Six Sigma tends to have a bit more statistical tools built in that actually would really benefit lean practitioners as well. So Lean Six Sigma makes a very nice combination. It's a catchy name, but in the service sector, I see the lean way of thinking, the lean way of improving, really as much more beneficial than the other philosophies. Now, having said that, You also have all kinds of logistical chains. If you have an office, you have physical stuff happening. You have an operation. So most of the tools, especially if you're Lean Six Sigma, you've got all the tools anyway. Most of the tools will still be useful. You just have to think about when you have a larger organization, and this is exactly the same, by the way, for industrial organizations. You are not only manufacturing, right? So just like a service sector company, it's not only about the services provided to customers, but also about your own organization and your own internal and external logistics. The same goes for when you are an industry organization. You also have business process, you also have logistics, you also have customer interactions, you also have order management. So there's a whole set of processes around that pure production process with the physical products that is not so physical, that really is more like the service sector than like the manufacturing part. So always know that within your broader organization, you will have different sort of characteristics of your environment. But when we are talking about data-driven, service-driven, go more for that flow idea and just use a couple of the, especially the 4Ms that come back. Process control is going to be important in any of them. That also means that, for instance, a video I made on gauge R&R. Yeah, well, that is only useful if you have gauges, so if you have measuring devices. Quite often in the service sector, what you will see is that you have assessments that are not really on a continuous scale. So my video on kappa analysis, Gohan's kappa, Fleisch's kappa, which is also a measurement system analysis, well, that might very well be useful to you. If you're assessing whether a service is good or bad, or if you are assessing whether or not a mortgage application should go through or not, then you would like two colleagues to make the same assessment on the same input form, wouldn't you? How do you check that? Well, you do a measurement systems analysis. Just not the gauge R&R, but you do the kappa analysis because of how you set it up, quite likely. If you go into Pareto, you use it in all of the systems. So the concept that you need to know. Do we really need to have process capability in service organizations? Maybe yes, maybe no. I would honestly say the need for it is not lower in the service sector than it is in manufacturing. So, why not? So check the videos I made on these different topics. Many of them will still be useful to you. I made the videos with industry as the main driver, because that's where most of my experience comes from. That is where most of my clients are. And people always tell me on YouTube, you have to pick a niche. But do know that operational excellence and continuous improvement techniques, they are way broader. I also teach within the service sector, which should be already by itself a great testament to the overlap between different sorts of companies, different sectors, and how our continuous improvement field really has a standardized tool set that helps us across the board. Standardized problem solving, use the entire toolkit, but use my problem solving template, use my training. It works in any industry, service sector, in between logistics company, because it's about the problem, not about any industry specific stuff. So I hope that gave you a couple of things. First of all, an answer to why don't I do so many service sector things, and are the tools then still applicable? And the answer is yes, but also gave you that a very nice realization that if you are a CI specialist, if you made your career out of operational excellence, continuous improvement, hey, you can continue your career in the service sector as well. It's a really nice way of hopping, if you want to, hopping through different types of sectors, different types of industries. I must say I enjoy that quite a bit. I hope you do as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you have other questions on parts of this, put it in the comments and I will give an answer to that. For now, I wish you the best of luck, whether you are in industry or in the service sector. And as always, don't forget to also enjoy the continuous improvement journey.